This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I have Emmanuel Guarino on the line, and he is into assisted living. This is a hot topic because our baby boomer population is like, if you look at the demographic, it's like a basketball coming down a garden hose. It's freaking a huge demographic, and they're retiring like 10,000 a day, which means they're going to get old and need assisted living by the hordes and the hordes and the hordes. It's already started, and it's not going to end for a long time. You know, the baby boomer phenomenon happened when all the men came back from war, and they were just a little bit amorous, you know, so everybody got home on the same day and started making whoopee, and then a bunch of babies were born, and they're called the baby boomers. And these baby boomers wreak havoc everywhere they go because they're just a huge mass. Whatever they like, you better start producing it. Whatever they need, you better get it, because they are a huge demographic and they're getting old. So you're in the right place at the right time, aren't you, Mr. Emmanuel Guarino?
I think so, and I love that. It's a basketball coming through a garden hose. I don't think there's any better way to describe it. That is it. That is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's going to cause some problems too. I mean, there's less people in the workforce, and we got to support these people that put in all these years they put in, and now it's our turn to take care of them.
That's right.
Arguments against that, if you want to get into it, like some people are pissed off that are my age or a little bit younger, saying they didn't do a very good job in voting because they've mortgaged our lives, and so they need to get their ass out of the assisted living, go back to work and fix it.
Yeah.
But it ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So tell us a little bit about you. You look very young. How young are you?
Yeah, well, I am 26. That's my birthday coming up here in a few weeks. It's gonna be 27.
I'm sick and tired of you 26-year-olds. You know what? You know where my head was when I was 26? It was far. It was so far in a dark place that. And here you are 26, and like you're going to tell me you own like $1 billion assisted and you know, I didn't find my butt with both hands till I was 36. If I'd have been hanging around people like you when I was 26, Lord only knows where I'd be. But 26, okay, so what part of the country are you in?
We are in Phoenix, Arizona.
Beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. The place where you can fry an egg in your hand. Yes.
On the sidewalk in front of your car. We've had many viral videos going off of people baking cookies in the front dashboard of their cars. So it is hot, no question.
Here's the good news. Everything's got air conditioning. Really good
That's
air
right.
Cars got it's just hot between the car and the office building. No, the car and the assisted living space. That's the only
That's
time.
right. That's about right. That's about right.
Did you go to college? Where'd you go to college?
I did. I went to Arizona State University. I studied wellness at that time and a little bit of partying. I think that was probably my minor there. I'm just joking. But, you know, I had a
the first time.
But I had a great time, and I was in the wellness, major, and I loved that. Wanted to be a physical therapist, and in college, I actually had a job where I took medications from pharmacies to assisted living homes and facilities. And there was one day in particular that I remember very, very clear. I went out to a large assisted living facility, and I walked in, and I was looking for the caregiver or the manager to give the medication to, and I couldn't find them. There was a lot of people in that facility, but there weren't many people working there. And I finally find the person, and I'm walking back out to my car. And I remember very distinctly, I look over to my right and I see a big room, and it's probably a 20 by 20 room. It's kind of the rec room. There was just one TV on one side of the wall, and there was two people in wheelchairs, and neither of them were facing each other or the TV. One of them was just facing the corner. One of them was just facing a random wall. And I remember seeing that, and it made a very big impact on me. And I just said, oh my goodness, it's just terrible. Broke my heart. I went to my car, and I really did. I cried like a baby. And I just prayed to God. I know it's not a spiritual podcast or anything like that, but
no, you're wrong.
Well, good then.
And God can come to my podcast anytime, every time. All the
time. Well, I'll bring them in then. So, I prayed to God, and I just said, God, if there's something that I can do, then let it be done. And I'm very blessed to be able to be a part of a company where that's what we do, is we help people learn on how to do this so they can take better care of the elderly. of people who are in a time of their lives who really need someone looking out over them. So that's a little bit about me and my background. I officially got into residential assisted living with my family. My father got into this business. My grandmother needed one of these homes, one of these facilities to move into, and there weren't many good ones in upstate New York where she lived. So we started building our first one. Then we started the second one, the third one. And by the time we'd started the second one, people were coming up to us saying, "What are you doing? This is really interesting stuff. I want to learn more." And that's how we started teaching on it. But that's a little bit about how we got into the business. And for me personally, on that end, I knew I wanted to be in assisted living, but the real estate side of things, I was handed the purple book. I'm sure many of your listeners have read it, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read that book. It felt like 20 minutes reading through that whole thing. It was just awesome. And, about 2 weeks after reading that book, I actually saw Robert Kiyosaki. And I was with my father, and he walked up to my father and he said, "You're the assisted living guy. I got some questions for you." And I said, "Wait a minute. Robert Kiyosaki's talking to my father. That would make my father my hero, right?" At the end of the day. And that's when it all clicked for me. And so at that point I just said, "Dad, what can I do to help? Just give me anything." And he just said, "You know what? Some of our students need houses for this. And so go out there and find homes for our students." And so I just learned it all on my own. I made plenty of mistakes along the way. And, that's one of the ways to learn is make all the mistakes or, learn from other people's mistakes. So I made all of the mistakes, but I learned eventually what's good, what's bad, and how to be very efficient in this business. So that's really what I specialize in, is selling residential assisted living homes, as well as teaching on how to do them as well as owning them as well too.
Yeah, so I went to La Calle U myself.
Mm-hmm.
How's your Spanish?
How's my Spanish? Más o menos. I don't know. I live here in Arizona.
La Calle means the street. I'm going to have a ring mate that says La Calle U. That's where I graduated.
I like it.
Knowledge on the planet. It take everything you have and more if you mess up too bad. But
yeah.
So I like the way that you picked it up, learned it. What always, the money looks really big on the chart, just like renting a house looks big until you start figuring out the liabilities and the exposures. Yeah. Talk to us. I mean, the upside is easy to talk about. Yep. How do you handle all the liabilities and the lawsuits or the potential lawsuits? Yeah. The people that think that maybe their loved one was mishandled
that's a great question. And one of the really nice things, and this will kind of sound funny, is one of the best parts about this industry is there's barriers to entry to getting into this industry. So we used to get many calls from people who would say, "Hey, I own 1,000 apartment units and I want to buy an assisted living." They'd give me a call. I was selling a care home, for an example. And I would say, "That's great. I'm glad you have the experience, but what do you know about this industry?" And they might say, "Well, I don't know anything, but I want you to show me a bunch of homes." And I would say, "Well, here's what I'm going to recommend. Come out to our class, learn how to do it, or get a mentor and learn how to do this business before getting into it." Because, there's barriers to entry. One of them is liability, right? And sometimes people say, "Well, this looks really good, but there's a liability. What if somebody falls? Oh my goodness, what if that happened?" But the thing is, with assisted living, and what people may not understand is that the reason why someone's in an assisted living is they need help with their activities of daily living. So cooking, cleaning, getting up and out of bed, right? All of the things that we do on a day-to-day side of things that we really don't think twice about. So one of the reasons why someone moves into an assisted living is usually the children of the resident, right? They go home for Thanksgiving, go home for dinner or Christmas. They see mom or dad, just like we did in upstate New York, went to visit my grandmother, and, grandma has a fall, right? Grandpa has a fall. And we go, "Oh my goodness, if they're on their own and there's no one there to help them, then that's just a horror story waiting to happen." We need to make sure they're in a place where someone can help them in case of an emergency. So at that point, they say, "All right, let's move them into an assisted living." So in a larger assisted living facility, the ratio of caregivers to residents might be 1 to 10, 1 to 15, 1 to 20, right? So that's a lot of people they're having to oversee. In our homes, we do them in residential style homes. It might be a 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6 caregiver to resident ratio. So we have a much better caregiver to resident ratio than the larger facilities. But let's say, for an example, we have a resident in the home, and let's go ahead and say It's, you and a brother or sister, right? For the listeners, let's say, and let's say mom has been in the home for 5 years. Now, the national average to live in one of these homes is $4,000 a month. That's the average to live there. So let's say mom's been in that home for 5 years, paying $4,000 a month. Now, let's say she has a fall. Now, remember, why is she in the home? Because she's at risk to fall. So the caregiver goes, helps them up. Let's say they have to go to the hospital. They go to the hospital. 2 months later, they come back and they pass away. Now, this is not a surprise, right? Mom is 95. She's been living there for 5 years, paying $4,000 a month. That's a lot of money. So sometimes people say, well, you got to be getting sued left and right and things like that. Well, hold on. It's not medical malpractice insurance that we need. It's called professional liability insurance for a residential assisted living in a residential group home setting. It just rolls right off the tongue, right? It's about $1 a day. About $1 a day per resident, covers them up to about $1 million. You can use that policy up to 3 times. That's what we have there. But there's a difference. When someone's been in the home for that long, they're at that age, it's understood, right? It's a lot of money for someone to be living in one of these homes, and nobody wants to see their mom or dad, move on and things like that. But we understand this is the circle of life. This is just how things are. And again, it's a lot of money. So when you think about it, and for those listeners who have been through that process, it's kind of hard to talk about, but it's understood. When someone's in the home, and like I said, the average is $4,000 a month, but people in our homes, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month. Let's say mom's been in that home for 5 years, paying $6,000 a month, $72,000 times 5, right? That's, I don't know, somebody better at math can, that's close to 300,000, right?
350,000. What is it? Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money, and so it's understood that this is a stage of their lives. So of course we have our insurances, but that's what we go over as well, is teaching what insurances you need, what insurances you don't need. And the big thing again is you're treating the residents right. We want them to live forever, right? Because they're our customer. So we want them in that home forever. So we are financially incentivized to have them there forever. We want them there happy, healthy, having a great time. So I hope that kind of helps answer that a little bit.
Yeah. So, there's the downside and there's the upside. I mean, you rent these rooms at a premium. Almost any house that fits the quota, is this a fair statement? Almost any house at fair market value can be a center for that if it's got what you need. What I'm saying is you probably don't have to buy these houses at discounts. You'd be better off if you did. But it sounds to me like fair market price might work for if it's the right place. You know what I mean?
Oh, most definitely. And what's nice about this too is that and I'm sure your listeners have had the experience too, when they're finding that deal, they find the right deal and they say, oh, it's perfect. They put in the offer. And they say, well, we've just gotten 15 offers in this type of range. And it's like, darn, What's nice about what we do is we're not going after the, 3-2 home that everybody else is going after. We're going after bigger homes, right? We're going after homes with more bedrooms, more bathrooms, could be on a busy road, could have power lines going over it, no pool in the backyard, right? Things where other homeowners will say, hey, I don't want those things. We're actually going after them. So it's kind of funny as a realtor for these type of homes, when I call in on some of these listings, sometimes they'll be on the market for 300 days. And I'll say, hey, I want to see that home that you have listed. And they say, you want to see that home? I mean, you want to see that home. That's great.
That's a very good point. It's a very good point, because you don't have the aesthetic needs or the certain needs as a family who wants to live in a house have. You have a set of criteria. And who cares if there's no pool and there's highline wires in the back?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So we're going after a little bit of a different thing. And that is a great benefit to it, is we're not going where the rest of the market is going. It's a different type of set of criteria that we're looking for.
Interesting. You ever look at like schools and hotels and stuff? Do they ever convert?
Yes, sometimes they do. Now, one of the big things with what we do, we focus on residential assisted living homes. So it's in a home that you probably driven past these thousands of times and you never know it was there, because that's the whole point. It looks like a home. Now, some people say, why wouldn't somebody want to move in to one of these larger assisted living facilities? And, you think about it, someone's in their 80s, they're in their 90s, they've been living on their own for, a number of years, and now they move in with 300 strangers. That can be a little bit much emotionally. And, that's kind of physically the idea of being in a large facility, having to walk from one side of the building to the other, getting lost possibly. It doesn't quite fit for what they need. So with what we do, we have it in a residential style home. So it's a home. It feels like what they just came from. And they might have 5 or 10 or 15 people living in the home, not hundreds of people. So it feels a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more safe. And then again, like I said too, we usually have a better caregiver to resident ratio. So more care, more one-on-one time that resident is going to have with the staff that's in the home. So really that's kind of our unique selling points, our unique selling advantages versus doing it in a larger building, larger facility. And, again, that can be right for some people, but for the majority of people, they want kind of that home style feel, more time and care. That's really what they're looking for. And that's why we primarily focus on the residential assisted living style model.
So Emmanuel, how many people are you assisting on any given day?
We have 3 homes. They're all licensed for 10 residents. So we have 30 residents in total.
What does that generate for you annually?
Yeah, well, I was going to say kind of a good example of that, one of our homes, just kind of rough numbers. One of our homes is right around $4,000 per resident in the home. So if we have 10 residents in the home, that home's bringing in $40,000 of gross income. Now, the $40,000, that's the gross income. We have expenses. So the expenses on that particular home might be $20,000 to $25,000 at the end of the day. If we have a debt service on that home, let's say it's around $5,000, so it's a nicer home, that would still leave us with $10,000, $15,000 at the end of the month from that one single family home. So really that's what we focus on is instead of doing a lot of homes, we focus on doing a few homes and doing them right.
Okay, so that's a really good thumbnail sketch for someone wondering where the money is or what the money's like in this business. Thank you for being transparent and sharing. So you teach this stuff, right? So you got a little giveaway for my audience or something they can get to know you a little better with?
I do, and this is a really cool thing that we just put out. It's a 7-part video series, and it goes over assisted living, what it is, and then how we can help as well. So it gives you a great idea of, is this the right industry for me? And obviously we're giving that out as the free giveaway there, and if you want to talk to someone, they can always feel free to call in as well. But that 7-video series is going to help a lot of your listeners be able to find out if this is the right industry for them. So that's a free gift that we're giving out to all of your listeners today.
All right, so I want you guys to go to REinvestorSummit.com / let's say Guarino. Spell that for me. Guarino, right?
That's right. That's right.
So go to REinvestorSummit.com / Guarino. GUARINE. I mean, O. And get your free 7-part video series and see if this is for you. Tell us a little bit about your how you teach. If someone wants to get involved, what is your course or your boot camp, or tell us about what you've got.
Yeah, we have 2 main options for your listeners who are listening right now. We have a live 3-day training, and we have an online home study course. Now, both of the trainings are great. I'm going to highly recommend, though, you come out to the live 3-day training if this is something that you're very serious about. The online training is excellent, but again, we're able to get into so much more in the live training. You're able to see the homes, meet Gene, his entire staff, network with the other students, and we're just able to dive into questions even deeper in the live training. So we're going to be going over marketing, staffing, licensing, the real estate, how to convert the homes, and all the finances. And like I said, we're able to sit down after the class. We go from about 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. From 5 o'clock to 10, 11 o'clock, we're hanging out. We're having a good time. You can sit down, ask questions, have a drink, smoke a cigar with Gene, whatever you like to do, and really immerse yourself in this industry. And so that's really our 2 main options. Going to highly recommend the live 3-day training. But if you can't come out for some reason, travel-wise, the online home study course is a phenomenal option.
Where is this again? Is this in Phoenix?
This is going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. And our next training, I think.
Go and hang out.
What's that?
Place to go and hang out.
Oh, yeah. It's very nice. Very nice.
So, yeah, there's something to be said for going out there and putting your hands on it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like getting right in the middle and sensing how it all works and being in the middle of it. I would agree with you. Try to get there if you can. But you got to do what you got to do. I mean, if you can't make
That's
it,
right.
an online course and get going. Just do something, right?
Yep.
This is for you, or at least find out if it is. Again, go to reinvestorsummit.com to learn more. You can go there. There'll be contacts. Do you have consults with people to see if to talk about your course?
We do. We have a discovery call button online. If you want to click on that after you go through that link, that's going to be the best way to speak with someone, and really they can help you figure out if this is the right opportunity for you. Good.
So again, reinvestorsummit.com/Guarino, Guarino. And there'll be everything you need to know over there, phone numbers, contact numbers, links, whatever. And get your free copy of the 7-part video series. Anything you want to say to people that are considering the assisted living space as a way to make a living or change their financial future?
Well, obviously, as you said, it's a basketball coming through the garden hose. I've never heard that, and I'm like, that is just so funny. That is so perfect, because really that's what it is.
I give you permission to use my
I appreciate that. I will use that. That's a great line. But if you're looking for an avenue where maybe not everybody else is going in, like I said, there's some barriers to entry. But good things are worth fighting for. And so if you're wanting to do this, if you're wanting to do good, do well, help a lot of people, make a lot of money, this is a great avenue to go. But the biggest thing is whatever you decide to do, and this for all the listeners, it's just go out and make it happen. You got to love what you do. So whatever it is, whether it's wholesaling, fix and flip, storage units, assisted living, apartments, doesn't matter. Whatever you do in your life, do with your whole heart. And that's the only way to be successful at the end of the day.
Yep, got to love it. Because especially in the beginning, you're going to have to put in 14, 15 hours. And if it seems like drudgery or work to you, you never make it through the hours. It's too many hours. But I know that when I first started, I bought 40. I quit my job March of 1996. Before the end of the year, I bought 45 houses. The next year, I bought 65 houses. And the year after that, my third year, I bought 150 houses.
Wow.
I was spending 18 hours a day sometimes, but it didn't feel like work to me. I was a man on fire. I was possessed with what I was doing. I was excited about what I was doing. I was getting ahead and taking a step backwards every now and then because I was getting my education and my nose bloodied at the same time. But the upside and really the sheer feeling of growth, like I could feel myself growing every day, every minute. I was learning more and more and more about not just the business I was in, but about people and the way things really work, as opposed to, the books or the videos. I was learning how it really worked. This is what the guru said. This is how it really works. This is how it works. This is what really happens.
Yeah.
So again, go to reinvestorsummit.com/Guarino, Guarino, and take advantage of some free stuff over there, and get a hold of Emmanuel and have a conversation. See if this might be the business, and get yourself down to Phoenix and have a little fun and get some education at the same time. What's that boot camp cost?
The live training is actually on sale right now. It's usually $5,000 for one to attend. Right now we have it at $2,997. So $3,000 for one. We're doing.
Yep. Probably find a way to write that off, get on and have a good time, stay an extra day or two, enjoy Phoenix, get educated. Hey, if you don't invest in yourself, who's going to do it? If you're not going to invest in yourself, who's going to invest in you? You have to take a little bit of what you make and invest in yourself. And even if you don't go into this business, it won't be for naught. You'll have stuff that you keep with you forever that you're going to use someplace. You know what I mean?
Right.
So get out there and do it. Now, these podcasts stay evergreen for a long time. So that price of $3,000 is subject to change. So don't, if you're listening 2 months after we do it, expect him to hold that price. It's just today's price that we're talking about. I wanted to get around about what it costs to get there. So somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. So
Yes.
go there, click on the links, talk to him. Who knows? Maybe there will be a special. Tell him Mitch Stevens sent you, okay? Maybe he'll give you some kind of Mitch Stevens perk, you know? Like put a Mickey in your drink or something.
Yeah. Hopefully not, but
it'll give you a whole nother perspective of
we'll have a good time regardless.
You could get to see what it's like to be assisted after that. You know, like see
That's
the other
right.
side of business. All right, I'm being silly. All right, thank you very much for taking the time to come on, Emmanuel. It's my pleasure. You're such a young, energetic guy. Seems like you have your head really screwed on straight. I love it that you have a higher reason, and it's not just about the money, which makes all the difference in the world, I'm sure, to those families where you're taking care of their parents. I would not want to have my loved ones in a place where God wasn't part of the formula. So
Amen.
thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mitch.
all
Pleasure's
these-
all mine.
All those self-help books and how to win friends and influence people and how to negotiate and it was all written 2,000 years ago, man. Everyone's just copied the same, those laws, those natural laws, you know, whether you want to call it the secret, you know, or the law of the universe, whatever, all that stuff was written 2,000 years ago in a little book, little Bible. And I think if you'll start to notice that when you're reading these self-help books, there is a chapter somewhere in that book written 2,000 years ago that says exactly the same.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
All right, my friends. Thanks a lot. This is Mitch Stevens with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I want to thank my sponsor, taxfreefuture.com. If you have not set up a tax-deferred or tax-free self-directed account to grow your financial wealth in, then you are missing out on a huge opportunity. Please go to taxfreefuture.com, watch the 37 little video vignettes on there and see how you make a little bit of money in a self-directed IRA into a lot of money in a relatively short period of time, and see why deferring or postponing taxes inevitably really makes a difference in your life. Taxfreefuture.com, because you will not believe what your financial advisors are not telling you, and we're going to tell you. All right, we're out of here. Goodbye.